श्रीगणेशाय नमः। श्रीसरस्वत्यै नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नामरूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्दृग्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत इति मे निश्चिता मतिः। So today we are going to address all the questions which have been raised by Purva Paksha. So let's begin with that. Now, before we go to the main contention of the topic, is moksha gained by karma or jnana? Because our standpoint that moksha can be gained by knowledge alone is firm and we are sure about it. We will answer the questions which have been raised about that knowledge cannot lead to moksha on the point of adhyasa. The immediate questions that we had, can karma lead to moksha? Let's answer that. The argument which was raised by the opponent, the Purva Paksha. What did he say? He said, karmana moksha na siddhyati, karmana eva moksha siddhyati was his point. You can gain moksha by karma. And he had raised certain points. Let's answer them one by one. His first point was that nitya naimittikabhyam swarga phalam na syat. He said, go on performing, the one who is desirous of moksha, he should go on performing nitya and naimittika karma alone. Why? There are 5 types of karma: nitya, naimittika, kamya, nishiddha, prayaschitta. He should perform nitya and naimittika karma. Why should he perform? Because not performing them is going to yield papa, and performing them is not going to yield any result. This statement is wrong based on Veda Siddhanta. I am not talking about Vedanta Siddhanta or Upanishad Siddhanta. How? The first and foremost thing is that performance of Nitya and Naimittika karma shall yield result. Because there is no karma which has been given in Veda which is not going to yield any result. Any karma which has been stated in Veda is going to give its phala, result. Why? If not so, you are arguing or you are raising question about Veda, Pramana itself. If Veda has given any karma, it must have some result. And what is the result of performance of Nitya and Naimittika karma? By performance of Nitya Naimittika karma, the person who performs them is going to get Swargadi Loka. He will go to higher worlds. It is not that he is not going to gain any result, which was said by the Purva Paksha. So Purva Paksha's half statement, the earlier part of the statement, that performance of Nitya Naimittika karma is not going to yield any result, is answered. No, performance of Nitya Naimittika karma does yield result, and that is Swargadika Loka Prapti. Now, not performing of Nitya Naimittika karma gains papa, is cause for papa is also a wrong statement, misquoted, misphrased, if you want to say. Why? Because not performance is abhava of karma, and any abhava, any absence cannot give rise to something which is present. Any absence is not going to give rise to or cannot be cause of something which is present. Kim asatah sajjayeta, Upanishad quotation is there. How can something which is not there, something which is there can be created? From nothing, something can never be created. And why this idea? In, I think somewhere in third or fourth chapter of Brahma Sutra, Acharya ji has referred to this point. Why? Because for sannyasin who are sannyasi, karma is nishiddha. They have given up each and every karma. Then each and every day they will go on accumulating papa. Then what is the purpose of saying that pratyavaya? If you do not perform nitya and naimittika karma, you will gain papa. That idea is different. Why such statements are there in Veda? The reasoning is different. We will not go into that details. Because there are different types of statements where person is prompted to perform karma. Arthavada, Gunavada, etc. We will not go into that details. So, the first argument, Nitya Naimittika karma is not going to give any result and not performing them is going to yield to papa, is wrong. Why? Nitya Naimittika karma does give Swargadika Loka, and opposed to that, not performing them is not going to gain any papa. So, if you say just by performing Nitya Naimittika karma, nothing new is going to be accumulated, absence of papa and absence of Swargadika Loka Prapti. Answered, it's not there. Next, you said by doing Prayashitta karma, by performing Prayashitta, let that Prayashitta be general or specific. By performing them, all your papas are going to be washed off. That also is wrong. For specific papa, there is specific Prayashitta karma, and by performing that result is not going to be washed off. You will be eligible to sustain that result. Or it may be possible at certain places, certain cases, that will be negated. Because such examples are available in Purana. Not to gain or not to be the withholder of papa karma, Prayashitta karma has been done. And how did that papa karma came to be? That was not their own choice, but it happened as subsidiary of some mukhya karma. Or because of shapa, etc. So let's not go into that argument. Let's keep it there. So the basic rule is, by performing Prayashitta karma, not all papa will be washed off. And if you say Sakala Papa Kshayakarakattvena Ukta Ganga Snana Ishvara Namoccharanadi Sadharana Prayashitamapi Chitta-shuddhyadi Dwara Sakala Papa Kshayakara Jnanotpatti Hetutvat Gaunyavritya Papa Kshayakaram Ityuchyate. 101st section. I have jumped ahead and then I'm going to come back. Anyways. Ishvara Namocharana, Tirthatana, etc. How are they going to dissolve or destroy papa? Directly they are incapable of washing any papa karma. Then how do they wash the papa? By performance of all these Prayashitta karma, you will go on gaining purity of mind, and by gaining of which, by gaining purity of mind, what's going to happen is you will go for jnana. Because of chitta shuddhi, you will have vairagya. Because you will have vairagya, you will go for jnana. And by gaining jnana, all papa will be washed off. Why? Because that's the Vedic statement Shruti. Kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drushte paravare. His all sins are washed off when he gains that Brahma Jnana. Jnanagnis sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha Bhagavad Gita. That fire in the form of knowledge will destroy all previous karma, papa, sins. That is answering by prayaschitta you can wash off all your papa. So thereby, because you have washed all of your papa, cause for next births are removed. Not true. Papa karma will be there. And even if you say, no, they can be washed off. There are many types of papa, many number of papa. Those are going to stay. They are not going to go away anywhere without giving you any result. Like a person who commits crime, he may change his name, he may change his location, he may change his place. When he is found, the result is going to come to him, whatever the case may be. Sanchita kamya karmani anyasya avashyam phalam pradadyuhu. Now what you said, because the person who is desirous of moksha, he is not interested in any phala. Therefore, that sanchita karma, etc., that which is in store for him for next births, they will not yield him any result. Sanchita karma will not give him any, sanchita or kamya karma, which have been performed in other lives. They will not give him any result. Why? Because he is not interested in those results. Not true. It's a mistaken, misphrased, wrong statement. Why? Simple. All these karma, when you perform them, they create samskara. And that samskara leads to results. Here they have added certain points. I'm not going to go into much detail, but quickly answer. What happens is, when you do any nitya, naimittika kamya or kamya or sanchita, let's stick to that. Sanchita and kamya karma, they are going to create vasana, an impression. At the same time, they are going to create something which is called as apurva. I will come to the definition of apurva later when we come to adhyasa. And that is going to be the cause of phala, which can never be avoided. Phalopabhogam anantara ajnanam karma na nashyati iti ishvara sankalpaha. Author directly comes to main point. The thing is, once you have performed karma, Ishvara is bound to give its result. You can never say, I don't want the result. It is going to come to you. At the same time, you may desire or not, the result are assured for you. Why? Because it is Ishvara's sankalpa that whoever has desired, so he will get. Whatever that he has performed, he must gain that result. They should not go waste. They should not go away. Unless the person to whom that karma phala can go is washed off from existence. And what do I mean by washed off from existence? He gains jnana and moksha. So for ajnani, phalopabhogam anantara, without experiencing the results of karma, they will not get destroyed. So even if you may desire or not, kamya karma, that sanchita karma, will give you result. So the statement for mumukshu, kamya and sanchita will be washed off is wrong, is not true. Further, you said, furthermore, jnanam vina karma phalam na nashyet. Without knowledge, no karma phala can be destroyed. Why? What happens is, when a person performs any karma, two things happen. He is going to get the result of that karma. At the same time, he is going to have positive or negative impression of that karma. Based on which he is going to have that impression in form of positive or negative, based on which he is going to perform that karma again, or he may have aversion for that karma. So it is going to have seeds of future karma. Let's say if I invest in certain company and I gain good benefits, then I'm going to invest in that company again. I'm going to go on. That is going to create a cycle. In the same way, even if you do not have any desire, even if you may not result, so any performance of any karma will have that impression. And the argument that पुरुषस्य संचित कर्म फलेच्छा निवर्तते तस्य मुमुक्षोः कर्म फलं न जायते इति यदुक्तं पूर्वं तद् वेदांत सिद्धानां अभिज्ञतया एव उक्तम्. And whatever that you mentioned, that when a karma is performed without any desire, Vedanta Siddhanta says the same thing. That's what the point is. But if you keep aside knowledge, we have problem with that statement. Without knowledge, any karma, may that be nishkama or sakama, karma is going to gain result. So karma will give you result. But performance of nishkama karma is going to avoid impressions. This is a very fine point, and understand. Performance of nishkama karma will give its result, but it is not going to leave back any impression. That desire for more, that desire to perform that karma again will not be there, and in this way you are going to gain chitta shuddhi. So to say by nishkama karma no karma phala is going to be gained is wrong. That's what was the point of Purva Paksha. One more point you mentioned, that all papa karma, all that which is to be suffered, which is to be experienced, can be experienced in one life. Not possible. Because there are so many different types of results. And if you try to compare those results with the sufferings which you have endured while performing Nitya Naimittika karma, the equation does not work. And even if you say that like a yogi who has capacity to experience many lives, many births in one body itself, for him there may be an exception, but for such a yogi who is endowed with Ashta Aishwarya Siddhi, Ashta Siddhi Aishwarya, all Siddhis, etc., If he does not have knowledge, he is not going to gain any moksha. Why? Because he still thinks karmas to be real, the world to be real. And as long as the idea that world is real will be there, any karma performed by him will lead to any result. So in the end, all your arguments fail to answer the basic purpose, or they are not in accordance with the basic purpose of Veda. That is, by pravrutti, nishkama karmacharana, gaining chitta shuddhi, by chitta shuddhi, vairagya, etc., and then jnana. That is the purpose of Veda, and your arguments do not fall in that category. Your arguments are suited for your position, not to what Veda is trying to say. Therefore, by karma, moksha can never be gained. The cycle of karma and karmaphala will go on for births together. Now, how can this cycle be broken? That cycle can be broken by one thing and one thing alone, knowing that karma, karmaphala is mithya. This whole cycle is mithya. It is a superimposition. Now let me come to your argument that bandha is real. Bandha is unreal. Bandha is mithya. How? Let's answer all the questions which he raised. What was the first thing? He said, now his statement was, bandha is real. Bondage is real. Therefore, that cannot be washed off. Bandha cannot go away by jnana. Not true. Bandha is mithya. Bandha is not satya. Bondage is not real. Why? Let me answer. Now you gave the reasons for bondage being real in this way. First you said the reasons for bondage to be mithya are not there. So what were the reasons for any adhyasa? The reasons for adhyasa were, for adhyasa you need experience or impression gained by the experience of real thing. The snake should have been seen prior, a real snake. Then alone that impression of seeing real snake can lead to superimposition of snake on rope. Therefore, the please understand this carefully. Experience of snake should have same level of reality as that of experience of rope. The impression, let me again add few more sub clauses now. Experience of snake is going to lead to superimposition on rope, which has same level of reality, satta. The snake and rope should be in the same plane of reality. When they are in same plane, this snake is going to create an impression which will in turn, because of superimposition on rope, which has same plane of existence as that of snake. We have argument, we have position which is contrary to this statement. What you said is totally wrong. Why? It is not necessary for that object to be real, or experience of that experience of real object, experience of an object which has same reality to that of superimposed. How? Before coming to the author's example, let me give you an example. Let's stick to the snake and rope. When you see snake in a picture, you have not seen real snake at all, but you see picture of that of snake. Now the snake which is in picture, is it real or unreal? It's not real. The snake which has been seen in that of picture does not have same reality as that of real snake. Why? If had that same reality, it could have bitten you, it could have been venomous. Let's be clear about it. So it does not have the same reality. And when you have seen such a snake which is in form of a picture, the impression created by seeing that picture definitely will lead to superimposition. So it is not necessary that impression should come from experience of real object alone. The author has given the example. Why I did not go into that argument is because that is relating to the olden times. They have said that magician, illusionist, he has created an illusion of a tree in front of you. And he says, look at this mango tree. Now that mango tree created out of illusion has pratibhasika satta, different plane of reality. Now you have not seen mango tree earlier. You saw that mithya mango tree. And then while walking on the road, you saw a tree called as Ashoka, Sita Ashoka. Sita Ashoka, not false Ashoka, Sita Ashoka. It is Saraka Ashoka. That's the scientific name. And it has same structure and leaves without flowers. Let me be clear. Without flower, it has same structure and leaves as that of mango tree. Now you say this is a mango tree. So you have superimposed impression gained from the knowledge of mithya vastu on a real object. Therefore, it is not necessary for superimposition. It is not necessary for superimposition. The impression must be gained from experience of real object alone. That experience can be of that of any object. Therefore, what is the Vedanta Mata? Vedanta Mata is, author has made two different statements. First he says, Vastu Jnanam eva. You require knowledge alone, an earlier experience. That's it. Afterwards he is going to redefine and explain why knowledge alone, because knowledge in turn is going to create an impression, and that impression is going to be the immediate cause of superimposition. The second statement now, that impression is going to be the immediate cause of superimposition. Here let me slightly digress from text and give you the idea of superimposition from Adhyasa Bhashya. There, ah koyam adhyaso nama iti uchyate smriti rupaha paratra purvadrashtava bhasaha. Ah koyam adhyaso nama iti uchyate smriti rupaha paratra purvadrashtava bhasaha. Smriti rupaha, in the form of a smriti, is something which is you have remembered. Smriti rupa, form of remembrance, memory. Paratra, somewhere else. Purvadrushta, that which has been experienced, seen prior. Avabhasaha, appearance, superimposition. Paratra avabhasaha. Paratra, the locus is somewhere else. Avabhasa is superimposition. Appearance. Appearance of what? That which is in form of memory which has been experienced earlier. There, the Tikakaras, they have said Smriti Rupa, this word is not necessary because Smriti Rupa is included in Purvadrushta. Whatever, when you say Purvadrushta, it is going to be a memory, isn't it? But only memory cannot be. It should be Purvadrushta. So Purvadrushta Paratra Avabhasa. This is what has been said here. Purvadrushta, it should be just experienced earlier. It doesn't matter from where that experience comes. In conclusion, earlier experience alone is enough for superimposition against that of experience of real object. You do not need experience of a real object. Here, the opponent stands up and says, but I have one doubt, sir. What is it? For any effect, there should be immediately preceding cause. An immediate cause needs to be there, only after which effect can be seen. Now, if you say jnana, knowledge, that prior experience is the cause of superimposition, how can there be superimposition of snake on the rope? Have you seen snake just before seeing the rope? No. You may have seen that snake, or whatever you may say, that picture of that snake, or that illusory, or any experience of snake. That may be many years prior, many months prior, many days prior. Now there has been many experiences in between. So how can that experience be cause of superimposition? It's not immediately preceding. So now he says, if such is the case, if that immediate cause is required, then the moment you perform any karma for Swarga Prapti, you will go to Swarga. So it's not that after death you are going to go to Swarga. You should immediately go to Swarga. Let me put this in complete order later. Let's see the argument in detail. So what is happening is, once you have performed that karma gets destroyed, and later it goes on giving you result. अनुष्ठानोत्तर क्षणे नश्यन्ति स्वर्ग नरकादि तत्फलम तु कालांतरे भविष्यति. Swarga, Naraka, Adi, the results of that karma are gained later somewhere in time, for which Vedanti raises the objection and answers. Now what's the order? Vedanti said you need prior experience, and that prior experience should be immediately preceding, because the cause should be immediately preceding. What Vedanta is trying to say, when that experience should be immediately preceding, he is saying that impression should be immediately preceding, only then result or superimposition can be there. The opponent says you don't need to have immediately, that cause should not be immediately preceding, because he is just referring to knowledge, jnana. For which Vedanti answers, according to your argument, the opponent's statement, karma gets destroyed and later it gives result, is not true. If that was the case, then dead pot maker and broken stick would have been the cause of pot. Because after karma is finished, done, if it gets destroyed, it cannot yield result. And if it could lead result, anything which has been destroyed could have capacity to yield any result, then dead pot maker and broken stick, etc., would have been the cause of pot. That does not happen. Then how do you see the results of karma being achieved, gained later? Performance of any karma. Once you perform that karma, karma is finished, over, but it creates something called as punya, papa, apurva, which I said. And what is apurva? Unseen, but efficacious to connect the consequence with its past and remote cause, and to bring about a distant period, or in other words, the relative effect. It is something which is unseen, but it is efficacious in connecting the consequence. So the cause and effect. The cause may be in distant past and the result may be in distant future. That which is able to connect, that is called as apurva, which we say as punya and papa. That punya and papa is generated when the time comes for its experiencing or fructification. They become the immediate cause. Similarly, the knowledge, once snake has been seen, knowledge is over. Once you have looked somewhere else, the knowledge of snake is over. Once you start some different things, the knowledge of snake is over. Then what remains is the impression. And at appropriate moment, in appropriate time, that fructifies, and there that impression, samskara, is the immediate cause. So that samskara, purva drushta, is the immediate cause of superimposition. Okay. And this samskara, now opponent smiles. Now I have caught you in my hand. Why? I agree with each and every statement of yours. But now please explain me. Sir, how are you going to connect this with bandha, bondage? Somewhere you need to have mithya experience of bondage, isn't it? I accept. Let there not be any real experience of bondage. But from where are you going to gain mithya experience of that bondage, bandha, for which it will create impression? Argument is simple and valid. Okay. You need impression of bondage to create superimposition. Why? Because bondage is superimposition. Now to have impression of bondage, and because bondage is superimposition, that impression cannot be from real experience. So there needs to be mithya experience of bandha. Now for mithya experience of bandha, there has to be bandha which is mithya. For that bandha to be mithya and to be experienced, there has to be, that experience has to be superimposition. So the experience from which impression has been gained, that experience is superimposition. For that superimposition, you need cause. That cause is going to be an impression. That impression will be from superimposed Bandha. Superimpose that, superimpose again. For that superimposition you need a cause. Where is it going to end? It's not going to end at all. So tell me, where is your that first mithya anubhava, first false experience, for which answer is given? Now you have, now that opponent, he is smiling because he thinks he has caught us in his hand. There the answer is given that that experience is anadi. That is anadi, that is avidya. This is a very much important point in Vedanta. What has been said is यथा यदा प्रतीयते तदा एव अस्ति अप्रतीत दशायां तस्य सत्ता नास्तेव इति वेदांत सिद्धांतः. Ahankaradi, starting from your ahankara, anything and everything which is experienced in waking and dream state. In deep sleep state, in sushupti, it is not experienced at all. Because it is not experienced in sushupti, we conclude, we know for sure that it is mithya. If it could have been experienced in sushupti also, then alone that could have been satya. Why? Because trikala badhyatvam, that which cannot be negated in all three periods of time, in any state of experience, is real. That which cannot be negated in all three periods of time, and that includes any state of experience, is satya. If world and ahankara, jagat and ahankara, gets negated, goes to laya in sushupti, that is mithya. Now, where is the first experience of that ahankara? You will never find answer to this. But when, how can you say ahankara is there? Shrutishu pratipaditam iti evam shrutibhi ayam artha pratipaditaha. Because it has been said in Vedanta or in Upanishads, in Veda, the creation of ahankara, utpatti of ahankara has been mentioned. That's why we have to accept. Ahankaradinam tajnanancha adhyasatvam anirvachaniya khyati prastave nirupayishyate. In detail, this will be taken up later when anarvachaniya khyati, what our idea of adhyas is. When we are going to explain that in later topics, we will answer this in detail. So we will wait till that topic comes. So let's come to प्राथमिका अध्यासे संस्कारस्य हेतुत्व संभव इति आक्षेपः. The opponent raised argument on our idea, doctrine, that there cannot be first such experience which can create impression. Where your chain of impression starts. Tell me that starting point. For which the answer is given. सिद्धांत अनभिज्ञतयायम आक्षेपः. Because you don't know what our siddhanta is, you have raised this question. What is our siddhanta? जीव ईशो विशुद्धाचित तथा जीवेशयोर्भिदा अविद्या तच्चितोर्योगः षडस्माकम अनादयः. This is a karika. 6 things are anadi. Next time I am going to go over all these points, because this is a very beautiful point to understand and remember, because this is the crux on which the whole Vedanta stands. If you forget this, if this is shaky, anybody can shake off your belief and take you away on their path. 6 things are anadi. What do we mean by anadi? Simply understand in this way, they are there but their cause can never be found. They, they are there. Why? Because they are experienced. But if you try to find their cause, it is never found, it can never be explained. What are they? Jiva. From where did first Jiva came into existence? You can never say. Because the problem is, once you say it started somewhere in time, it can also start somewhere in future time. So moksha gone. Moksha can never be there. Why? Because any jiva has starting point. So even after moksha, you can have some starting point later in future. So jiva has to be anadi. Ishvara. If Ishvara has adi, close your bags, be happy. Why? Ishvara has beginning, so it is going to end. And once this Ishvara is destroyed, everything started from this is going to get destroyed. Why are you worried about moksha? Ishvara cannot have beginning. Brahma. Again, why Ishvara cannot have beginning is there is different explanation. Why? Because Ishvara is Brahma with Upadhi. That's a different topic. Brahma. Already we have explained why Brahma is Anadi. Anadi vastunam parasparam bhedaha. The difference between them, that Jiva and Ishvara. The idea of difference is Anadi. It's not that somewhere at some point of time this idea started. Does not fit into other arguments. Avidya. Ignorance. Again, if you have idea that avidya has beginning, it may again have some beginning in future. And then avidya can never get destroyed by vidya, jnana. And avidya chaitanya yoho sambandha. The relation between avidya and chit, chaitanya. If we are to think about this topic and how they are important, that will be a totally different lecture. But as we progress, those topics will be taken up. Now, how did they come to these 6 things to be anadi? Because any one of this, if you say they are adi with the beginning, all the other siddhanta fall off. All the correlation, all the explanation which perfectly fits with each other, that correlation is destroyed. Simply take this idea that avidya has beginning. Then any knowledge. Let me explain you from a very general standpoint. What is this? Pencil. Now, this is pencil was the knowledge which was gained by which the ignorance of this object was destroyed. If avidya had beginning, the ignorance of this pencil had beginning, then the problem would be in somewhere in future this knowledge will go away completely, totally. It does not happen. You forget, but that knowledge never goes away. Unless the capacity of remembrance, where it is remembered, that portion itself goes away. What I mean to say is, forgetting is that capacity to withhold has gone away. Knowledge has not gone away. You say, when I say, "Arey, this is called as pencil." Oh, now I remember. So you recollect. You may not have been. It's not new knowledge which has been gained. You are recollecting which was known earlier. Unless it's dementia or some medical issue, that's a totally different thing. So knowledge, if then what would have happened if avidya had beginning? After having known this is a pencil, somewhere avidya can start because of some cause. And then you have to answer, what is the cause of ignorance? From where did this ignorance begin? How did it begin? What was the cause? Then what was the cause for that cause? Can never be answered. That's why anadi. And once you just explain that it is anadi, all questions are answered. Once you stop inquiring, all questions are answered. But if you begin inquiry, no question can be answered. That is avidya. We will see this part in detail and further answers, but that we will see next time. Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya samastaloka sukhino bhavantu समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम।